Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Thank you. And I'd like to invite Trustee Leclerc to do our land acknowledgement, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We acknowledge that we are on land and surrounded by water, originally inhabited by Indigenous people who have traveled this area since time immemorial. This territory is within the lands honored by the Wampum Treaties, agreements between the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Lenape, and allied nations to peacefully share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. Specifically, we would like to acknowledge the presence of the Huron-Wendat peoples and the Three Fire Confederacy, the Ojibwe, the Ottawa, and the Potawatomi. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture while remaining committed to moving forward respectfully with all First Nations, Inuit, and Métis.
Thank you very much. Before I move forward with the agenda, I just wanted to point out that this is the last formal meeting for our student trustees. So to Tiana Lynn and Kiera Trikalovic, I'd like to thank you for your services this year. You did a wonderful job representing and giving voice to our students, so thank you for that. I look forward to your presentation tonight. And I also wanted to mention that it's the last formal meeting for Superintendent Shelley Dubin, who has announced her retirement. Some of you may think she's only given 2 years of service to our board, but that's not the case. She had a gap, but spent many, many years with us prior to that, maybe 14 or 15 years, yeah. And her service has been much appreciated, and we wish her well in her retirement. Thank you. So for attendance tonight, we have an absence from Trustee Cook, who was had a conflict with a work conference. So I need a motion to accept the attendance for Trustee Cook, Trustee Buckler, and Trustee Leclerc. All those in support? That's carried. Thank you. And unfortunately now I turn to the director for special orders of the day and ask everyone to please stand.
It is with deep sorrow that we honor the life of Grace Ford, a grade 12 student at Essex District High School who passed away on April 22nd, just months before she was to graduate. Grace was a bright light in our school community, kind, caring, determined, and full of life. She had a sense of humor that could lift any room and a smile that was both radiant and unforgettable. Her laughter was infectious, and her spirit drew people in. She was a fiercely loyal friend and deeply cherished by those who were closest to her. Her teachers and coaches held her in high regard, not just for her talents, but for her warmth and her character. Passionate about fitness and health, Grace was an exceptional athlete and a true team player. She was a cornerstone of the girls' volleyball team throughout all 4 years of high school, earning MVP honors multiple times. Her athleticism also shone in the pool and on the track, where she proudly qualified for OFSA. Grace's passing leaves a profound void in the hearts of her family, her friends, her teammates, and the entire district high school community. She will be deeply missed, but her spirit and her legacy will live on in all those who knew and loved her. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. We are deeply saddened by the passing of Tammy Belanger, a cherished teacher, colleague, and a friend from Lakeshore Discovery School. Tammy was more than an educator. She was a beacon of kindness, compassion, and unwavering dedication. Her classroom was a place of warmth and wonder where every child felt seen, valued, and loved. Tammy's gentle spirit and radiant smile touched the lives of everyone she met. She had a remarkable gift for nurturing young minds and hearts and her legacy will live on in the countless students she inspired and the colleagues that she uplifted. Beyond the classroom, Tammy was a devoted wife to David and a loving mother to Braylon and Kiara. Her strength, her grace, and her courage throughout her battle with cancer were nothing short of extraordinary. Tammy had an incredible sense of humor that brightened even her most difficult days. Her laughter was infectious, her wit was sharp and playful, and her ability to find joy in the everyday gift to all who knew her. Even in her battle with cancer, Tammy faced each challenge with grace, courage, and a remarkable sense of humor that inspired everyone around her. Though she may no longer walk among us, Tammy's light continues to shine in the memories we hold and the lives that she's changed. She will be deeply missed and forever remembered. Please join me in a moment of silence. It is with deep sorrow and heartfelt remembrance that we honor the life of Abed al-Turkmani, a grade 9 student at Massey Secondary School, whose life ended far too soon. Abed was a proud graduate of Glenwood Public School and a valued member of the Greater Essex County District School Board community. Abed was known for his kindness, his generosity, and his quiet demeanor. His classmates remember him as a thoughtful and a kind student. One memory stands out is how Abed brought Timbits to share with the entire class on his birthday. A simple gesture, generous, perfectly captured his giving spirit. It wasn't just about the treats, it was about making other people smile and feeling included. Though his life with us was very brief, Abed's impact was lasting. His memory will live on in the hearts of his classmates, his teachers, and all who had the privilege of knowing him. We extend our deepest condolences to his family, his loved ones, during the time of an unimaginable loss. Please rest in peace, Abed. You will always be remembered, always loved, and forever missed. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Houston, and on behalf of all the trustees, I extend our sincere condolences to these families who have lost their loved one. I'm now looking for a motion to approve the agenda. Trustee Leclerc, Trustee Buckler. On the agenda, all those in support? That's carried, thank you. Do we have any declarations of conflict of interest for this meeting? Seeing none. Sorry, I forgot about this. We do need to go into committee of the whole tonight for a legal matter, but we have to wait till 7 o'clock for that. So I would ask if I have consent here to hold that off until 7. Yeah, thank you. So with that, we'll go on to approval of the minutes of May 20th, 2025 and June 10th, 2025. On those minutes, Trustee Buckler, Trustee Leclerc, any questions? Anything on those minutes? No. All those in support? Any opposed? That's carried. Thank you. And now we're looking forward to our student trustee report.
Good evening, everyone. Tianyu and I wanted to put together a Student Senate recap just to kind of reiterate what we've done this year and highlight some of our great achievement, friendships, and memories we made. So at the start of the year, we had made a Student Senate banner, and this year we decided to make hand flowers to represent each school that comes to Student Senate. You can find it actually outside of the board office at the stairs. We had our student senators write their names. They could choose whatever color they want, and we made it very bright and colorful. And yeah, you can take a look at that just before you leave tonight.
The Student Leadership Conference is usually one of the most memorable events we have in the year. And with us inviting all of our secondary schools for a quick conference, we have guest speakers, we have various different leadership activities, and it's overall just a great way for all of us to get together and just have that awesome spirit.
And this year we decided to continue on with school presentations with elementary and secondary. We discussed what a student trustee is, different opportunities in a high school like SHISM, or different field trips you can go on. And we also had a question period just in case any of the grades 6, 7, and 8 had any questions, because I know the transition from grade 8 to 9 can be really stressful or maybe a little bit anxious they might feel. It just kind of a reassurance for them that everything will be okay. The 4 years will be awesome. And we also did a presentation for the principals of secondary schools at Tecumseh Vista on the January PD Day. We discussed the overview of Student Senate, student trustees, and the election process, and we'd also invited them for a question period as well.
Coming new to this year is a Student Senate Mental Health Committee, which we founded, made up of 15 mental health student leaders across our board. We try to discuss bi-weekly about the various things that are happening across the board to advance student wellness on the student leadership level with collaboration of Joe Bell, which has been a great guidance. Yes. We've also sort of instilled a procedure to select chairs, which will be happening right after exams.
And every winter, we like to do a donation. This year, I decided to also do a donation to the Windsor Regional Hospital. We decided to do an activity booklet, which featured connect the dots, word searches, fill in the blank coloring. And I believe we had made over 60 booklets, and we handed it to the pediatric floor. And Michelle and I delivered it ourselves. We also had Braden Fields from WF Herman, who created the front and back cover of our donation. Yeah.
So these are a few improvements that we think we made to Senate this year. The first off is topic discussions, where student councils come together to discuss and brainstorm creative ways to tackle shared challenges. That might be inclusivity, that might be mental health, but overall we try to share our ideas and have a collated source of things that we can draw on. Next up is leadership activities, and this is a way for each of the schools to show their uniqueness. It's hosted by the school that is hosting the meeting, and it allows leaders to sort of enhance their problem-solving and collaboration skills. Finally, we've also instilled Senator of the Month, which you may have been hearing these past few reports, and created to celebrate senators for their consistent spirit, dedication to student community, and leadership that inspires others.
And this year, I made an ad hoc student nutrition committee. I was very privileged to get a grant with a partnership with the Ontario Student Nutrition Program. We had donated a $5,000 one-time payment to Colchester North Public School. And basically we did a focus group with the grade 7s and 8 students on food preferences. We did, as you can see in the picture, the Would You Rather game, just to kind of see what kinds of food they like. So if they prefer veggies over fruit, which by the way, they really loved fruits and they made it very adamant about that. And we are made up of 12 student senators, and we work together to promote student nutrition awareness with a campaign on social media. I don't know if you guys follow our student Senate page. It's GECDSB Student Senate on Instagram, so you can find us on there. And yeah, we did a lot of information for how they can sustain their program into the next year since it is a one-time payment. So we worked on a letter and we sent it to the principal.
Finally, but not least, our OSTA conferences, which we were very privileged to attend. This year, they were a great way to sort of network with student leaders across the board and talk about leadership and talk about ways which we could advocate for our school boards. They were full of workshops, sessions, and honestly, such a great experience, which we are very, very grateful for.
And we had our last Senate meeting on June 10th here at the board office in the Kingsville room. It was filled of celebrations of our graduating senators. We also did a game show and we also had done awards. Our game show was Family Feud. And yes, I did dress up as Steve Harvey in a bald cap and a mustache. It was very fun. We took our group pictures. We also invited the incomings from the student councils from different schools, and we held an advice session from our current student senators and from us, just to see if they had any questions or if they were just curious about what we do as Senate and also the structures and what Senate can help them benefit at their councils. And thank you so much for being a part of our journey this year. It's been a great honor to work with all of you. And yeah, just thank you so much. Do you have anything to say now? Oh, I can do this one right here. Yeah, thank you. And then we'll do Student of the Month here.
You have some questions on your presentation.
Yeah, questions. Yeah, that'd be great. Sorry. Yeah.
That's okay.
Sorry. Yeah, questions are good.
Do we have any questions? Trustee McKinley?
Not really a question, but just a comment. It's been quite the full year. I'm really impressed with all that you guys have done this past year, and thank you so much for
Thank you.
your participation at our table.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Trustee McCowie?
I'll start with a comment. Fantastic job to the both of you. It's great to see how every student trustee really shapes and defines their term, and I'm sure the two of you will continue to accomplish some really great things in your future endeavors. So thank you for all you've done to promote a very student-centric culture across the board, and I'm sure Student Senate would agree. My one question is actually something that I asked of your colleagues from the District School Board of Niagara at our annual meeting this past weekend. But I'm hoping now that you guys have completed your term as student trustees, if you can kind of reflect and let us know as a board, what are some intentional steps that we can take, both as a board and as individual trustees, to continue meaningfully include student trustees as partners in our work, both inside and outside the boardroom, to really make you feel like our peers and our colleagues in the work that we do to support student voice?
That's a great question. I believe it'd be great if any of you would love to come to our student senate meetings, you're more than welcome. We have a agenda. It should be posted somewhere, but it has all of the locations of different senate meetings. So it's hosted at different schools. So you guys are more than welcome to come and hang out with us. And you can also come to our student leadership conference. We're more than happy for you guys to be guest speakers, or you can even interact with us in our different sessions that we host. We have different brainstorming, we have games, all the fun stuff. Yeah, do you want to add anything?
I think other than that is just like keeping the great human beings that you are. You guys have all been lovely to meet and talk to. So I think keeping on doing that and other stuff such as just like talking about any things that you guys are passionate about, we would love to know that. And I think like our incomings will feel the same. It's just sharing those passionate moments.
I'd also like to add, please follow our GECDSB Student Senate. I really love promoting it. So yeah, if you could interact with that, that'd be great. We're almost at 800 followers, so that'd be great. And before I get into the Student of the Month, I'd like to introduce our student trustees for the next school year. So please stand. So we have Ruby Rivington. She's a grade 11 student at Walkerville Collegiate Institute. And we have Cole Foster, who is a current grade 10 student at Essex District High School. Perfect. And now for Student of the Month. Oh, sorry.
I had a question.
Yes.
I had a question.
I'm really sorry. I'm really bad at these questions.
That's okay. I love the work that you do going around and speaking to the schools, and especially speaking about the position of student trustee. And I wonder if you've noticed any impact when you went through the selection for the election, not selection, election for the new student trustees
I
in
think
terms of like the numbers that are applying.
Yeah, we had a really great turnout this year. I think we had 31 students apply altogether with county and the city. I think what really helped was social media promotions because a lot of us use Instagram, so that was a really great way to connect with students, and also just putting the word out with our student councils that we have a connection with Student Senate. Them putting the word out definitely helped that as well. And our election, it actually turned out really great. A lot of our centers were very interactive with all the candidates. They asked wonderful questions. They were very specific with their questions, and I think they were really engaged to know about who their candidates were and, try to figure out who they would like to elect as the next student trustee. So it was really great to see that everyone was really engaged.
Great, thank you.
Sorry,
Great
is there
answer.
any other questions?
No, I think you're okay now.
Perfect. So the student of the month for June is Grace Allison, a grade 12 student at Tecumseh Vista Academy. Grace is an outstanding role model for this month's theme of leadership. In every community, there are those rare individuals who lead not only for recognition, but because they truly care. A leader takes initiative, serves as a role model, and inspires not through authority, but through authenticity, empathy, and action. Grace is exactly that kind of leader. A welcoming and positive oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, I can't speak today. At Tecumseh Vista, Grace seems to effortlessly brighten even the darkest days. She has become a pillar of the TVA community, embodying leadership through her actions, her words, and her unwavering commitment to others. Being so involved in school doesn't take away from her academic success. Maintaining over a 95 average for all 4 years of high school and winning multiple awards, Grace prioritizes academic achievement by knowing how to balance extracurriculars, a part-time job, and her responsibilities leading student parliament. Grace has consistently stepped up to lead with purpose and passion. As Student Parliament Prime Minister, she ensures that every voice is heard and every students feel included. Whether she's speaking at assemblies, leading Spirit Weeks, and planning events like Culture Fest, Semi-Formal, or organizing school-wide initiative, Grace puts her whole heart into everything she does. Her legendary Excel spreadsheets and color-coded calendars indicate the care and organization she brings to every task. With over 400 volunteer hours, Grace's impact extends into the broader community. She is an active member of JOC.org, advocating for mental health awareness and the importance of kindness in everyday life. Alongside her family, she runs the Alawonga Foundation, which has raised over $100,000 for cancer research through everything from fitness classes to bake sales. Grace doesn't just lead, she lifts. She doesn't just serve, she inspires. Her leadership is rooted in compassion and a relentless drive to make the world a little brighter wherever she goes. Grace is truly deserving of this recognition. Congratulations, Grace, on being selected by Student Senate as the June Student of the Month for Leadership.
The family wants to come and take pictures. You're welcome. Come up front. Congratulations, Grace, from all the trustees.
Okay, we're almost done, I promise. So finally is our last student trustee report. Good evening, trustees, Director Houston, senior administration, and members of the public. As we wrap up what has been truly an incredible school year, we're excited to share our final student trustee report, one that highlights the amazing achievements and sense of community we've seen across all our secondary schools. This past month has been packed with celebrations, meaningful moments, and memories that will stay with us long after graduation. Our schools have gone all out for end of year's festivities, and the creativity has been absolutely stunning. From senior sunsets to senior sunrises, each school has found unique ways to honor their graduating class. The farewell events, decision days, and senior send-offs have been incredibly moving, while our advice sharing sessions have given students the chance to both offer wisdom and receive recognition for everything they've accomplished, not just academically, but in all areas of school life. What really stood out this month was how beautifully our schools celebrated cultural diversity. The multicultural weeks were phenomenal, filled with traditional dancing, students proudly wearing cultural dresses, and community feasts that brought everyone together. These events didn't just showcase students' heritage, they created spaces where students can learn from each other and build deeper connections across cultural lines. And what continues to impress us most is how deeply our students care about giving back. From bake sales and neighborhood cleanup initiatives to fundraising for organizations like We Care for Kids, our student leaders have consistently shown their commitment to making a real difference. And as we reflect on this year, we're incredibly proud of our student councils. Each one has made tremendous progress in their own unique ways, whether that's advocating for student needs, organizing impactful events, or building community. The dedication and passion we've witnessed from student leaders across the board has been nothing short of inspiring. Finally, as our terms as student trustees come to an end, we want to extend our deepest gratitude to so many people who made this incredible year possible. First and foremost, thank you to Director Halston for your unwavering support and guidance throughout this journey. Your leadership has created an environment where student voices and our voices truly matter. To the Board of Trustees, thank you for believing in the power of student leadership and providing us with platforms to make meaningful change. We're deeply grateful for Michelle Marcuse for her constant encouragement and for always being available when we needed guidance or support, such as editing our reports every month. Special thanks to Cherise Polly for her invaluable assistance with our mental health initiatives. Her expertise and dedication have helped us better support students' well-being across our schools. And finally, to Student Senate, thank you for your passion, your ideas, and your commitment to making our schools a better place for everyone. You've shown when students come together with a shared vision, incredible things can happen. Thank you for an unforgettable journey that has shaped not just our schools, but each of us as student leaders. This is Tianyu and Kiara, signing off for the last time.
Well, on behalf of the trustees, it gives me great pleasure to present each of you with a little gift to remember us by. That puts my chair's report to shame because there's not much that I've been very busy, but there's not much that I can bring out at this time to report, other than I've been spending a lot of time trying to absorb the budget, and of course we're now in graduations, and that's got, I know my calendar is booked up, and I'm sure the rest of you as well, going to graduation. So I would just like to send a message out to everyone for a safe and happy summer, and be back in the fall. So that's my report, short and sweet. Like I said, I didn't have much to add, but the director has lots of great things to tell us about. So we'll look forward to the director's report now.
So we've arrived at the final board meeting of the 2024-25 school year. Well, it's tempting to take a moment to exhale, and I hope that we all do. We're already well into our planning for 2025-26, as you can see by the draft budget that was presented to you tonight, as well as many other things, and welcoming our incoming student trustees for the next year. Looking back, it's been a year full of remarkable moments across our schools. Sharing the bright, joyful faces of students and staff has truly been a highlight. On May 29th, 2025, we officially launched the latest addition to the Enhanced Construction Program, the Electrical School in partnership with the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, IBEW, Local 773, beginning in September. Grade 11 students will take part in an immersive experience at the IBEW Training Center in Windsor, and I'd like to thank the people who were so committed to making this work. It's been a long time in the works. Anybody knows anything about, first of all, unions and trying to get students into them is next to impossible. And I think it's even more impossible in terms of the electrical union. And we were able to make that inroads, and thanks to our partners at Local 494, who certainly helped us in achieving that. On June 2nd, we raised the pride flag at all of our GECDSB schools and facilities. Thank you to Run for Rocky, Trans Wellness Ontario, Windsor Essex Pride Fest, and the Walkerville students for their inspiring messages. And we remain committed to uplifting our 2S LGBTQIA+ voices. After many months of hard work, students from the Enhanced Construction Program have completed the rebuilding of the deck at the historic Simcoe building located at the John Freeman Walls Historic Site and the Underground Railroad Museum. This project provided students not only with the chance to strengthen their practical construction skills, but also to engage deeply with the site's powerful historical legacy. If you haven't had an opportunity to visit the John Freeman Walls historical site, I certainly would encourage you to do so. It's remarkable, it's moving, it's rooted in history, there's so much to learn, and just meeting with the family and sharing and hearing the stories. And then you'll also get to see the deck and the beautiful work that our own students completed for them. 3 students were recognized with the Duke of Edinburgh's International Award. If you remember, it wasn't that long ago, probably just a few months that we introduced it, and we already have our first recipients. Congratulations to Ernell Henry, Obayo Farah, and Jaden Strum on this outstanding achievement. We look forward to celebrating even more Specialist High Skills major participants this year through our pilot and our partnership with Awards Canada. The GECDSB is excited to continue its partnership through a co-curricular approach pilot, and we look forward to supporting many more students on their journey of personal growth, skill development, and community engagement. And next year, I look forward to bringing you more information on where we're planning to expand that program. Kennedy students premiered their documentary, Food for Thought, developed in partnership with the Coalition for Healthy School Food, the Ontario Student Nutrition Program, local filmmakers from the University of Windsor, and the United Way Windsor Essex. The film's message advocates for sustainable school nutrition and a national lunch program. The film is available to view on our website. I would definitely encourage you to take a moment. The work that the students did is absolutely incredible, and it certainly demonstrates the definite need for national school food programs across the country of Canada, and so proud that our own Kennedy students did that. On June 11th, we celebrated this year's scholarship and bursary recipients, and it's a privilege to celebrate these outstanding students and wish them well in their post-secondary studies. Thank you to all of our generous donors who support our students' success. For the second year in a row, we were fortunate to host several Miracle League baseball events. The fun-filled days shine on a spotlight on inclusion, adaptive sports, and the power of student leadership throughout the region. Leamington District Secondary School and W.F. Herman students attended the 2025 Special Olympics Ontario School Championships in Ottawa. Leamington brought home gold in soccer and bronze in basketball, while Herman earned a gold in bocce. Our students competed alongside 1,000 inspiring athletes, embracing inclusion, leadership, friendship, and celebration every step of the way. James L. Dunn Public School, Riverside Secondary School, and Tecumseh Vista Academy Secondary have each received their Healthy Schools certifications. Each of these schools have worked very hard to promote and support the health and the well-being of students, staff, and their community. Congratulations to Tricia Helder, Mohammed Salah, and Caesar Chan on their incredible achievements at the Canadian-wide Science Fair in Fredericton, New Brunswick. Tricia earned several awards, including a gold medal and the prestigious Platinum Award, recognizing her as Best in Show for her age category. Muhammad and Caesar were both awarded bronze medals in the senior division. Liam Pilbeam won first place at the St. Clair College Get Skilled competition and earned a summer job at MSJ Automotive, and he also placed 9th provincially in the Skills Ontario competition. Congratulations to Liam. Congratulations to all GECDSB athletes who have competed at WEXA, SWASA, and OFSA, and there were many notable and record-breaking performances this year, and we are so proud of all of our athletes. Registration for our International Languages program is now open. Families can visit on our website and register for the 2025-2026 school year. Congratulations to all of the staff who are retiring this year. We wish you all the best on your next journey, and thank you for your many years of dedicated service to the Greater Essex County District School Board. On Thursday, June the 12th, I was honored to attend our Indigenous graduation. The GECDSB is proud to have been part of their journey, and we are committed to continuing our work to support Indigenous excellence and educational equity. I shared with the senior team today that I had a young adult come up and say, "Hi, Mrs. Houston, how are you?" And I said, "Oh, I'm good." And they said, "Do you remember me?" And I knew the face. It just looked a little older. And they said, "You were my principal at Walkerville. I'd like you to meet my son. He's graduating." I was like, oh no, there's that moment of, oh, he's graduating high school and you were just in high school with me. So, and then 5 minutes later, this young man came up and said, "Oh, hi, Mrs. Houston. I'd like you to meet my daughter. She's graduating from high school. You were my principal." I'm like, oh my goodness. Yes, I'm getting old. But congratulations to all of them. I was honored to attend Vincent Massey's graduation last night, and I'll be attending several more graduation ceremonies throughout the month of June, and I'm always thrilled to watch our students close the important chapters in their lives, and I wish them well on their future endeavors. We have several significant days coming up, including June 19th, National Indigenous Peoples Day, and over the summer, of course, we will celebrate Canada Day on July 1st and Canada's Emancipation Day on August the 1st. Although it's a busy time of the year, I hope we all take a moment to acknowledge these important commemorative days. Thank you for your time, for your dedication, and I wish you a wonderful, restful, well-deserved summer break, and look forward to reconnecting with everybody in September 2025 as we continue all of the meaningful work that lies ahead. Happy to take any questions.
Do we have any questions on the director's report?
Thank you.
None. Thank you very much. That was a great overview of all the great things that have been happening over the past month. Thank you. The next item under new business is the special education plan for 2025-2026. This is for board approval. Okay, do I have someone who'd like to move it? Trustee McKinley, Trustee Buckler, and we'll now take questions. Trustee Burgess?
Might be a little premature, but through you, if I could. On our agenda tonight is approval of the budget, and one of the severe areas of underfunded areas is special education. And I'm wondering if SEAC is ever asked to provide a letter from that mandated provincially mandated committee on their advocacy of what they can see about the underfunding.
You might want to keep that for a budget question as opposed to their plan, the plan we're now dealing with. Do we have any questions on the education plan, special education plan? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. All those in support? Any opposed? No, that's carried. Thank you. We're going to reports from our board committees and recommendations coming forward. The first is the Policy and Bylaw Committee, and we do have 4 recommendations. We need motions on that. Trustee Buckler,
Might I move that we put all 4 together? Does anybody have an issue with that? We've all read it.
Leclerc, were you seconding that? Okay. They're all on the floor to be voted together. Do we have any questions on any of those? One was a cyclical review and the others were just updating. Don't see any questions. All those in support of the recommendations 1 through 4? Oh, that's carried. Thank you very much. Next, we have the Finance and Facility Services Committee with 2 recommendations, but I'm going to split them because they're very different. So the first one is with regard to the budget. I'm going to read them out. That the board approve an operating budget of $545,763,121 for the fiscal period September 1, 2025 to August 31, 2026, resulting in a deficit for compliance purposes of the Ministry of Education compliance calculation of $988,294, and that the board approve a capital budget of $45,755,351 for the fiscal period September 1, 2025 to August 31, 2026. If someone to move that, Trustee McCowie and Trustee Leclerc. And we're open for questions. Trustee McKinley?
Not so much a question as comments before we vote. Thank you, Madam Chair. In no way do I want my thoughts to be interpreted as a reflection upon our staff that were by ministry directive required to prepare a multi-year financial recovery plan. I believe our business staff have done a huge amount of work preparing this budget, given the impossibly short timelines that they had to work within in order to have this budget before us for tonight's meeting. I thank you for that. Our board has always been a fiscally responsible board for as long as I have been a part of it and for many years, even prior to my becoming a trustee for this board. You don't just accumulate what was once a $31 million surplus without being fiscally responsible. Yet again, short-term supply costs for staff absences is costing the boards more than double the amount provided by the province. This year, our funding gap is over $7,159,000. Imagine just how different this budget would be if the ministry actually fully funded their contractually agreed upon collective agreements. Statutory benefits such as Canada Pension Plan and employment insurance mandated by the federal government have escalated without corresponding increases in ministry funding. Our budget indicates a funding gap in this category of over $9,700,000 that is also not being supported by the ministry. These are not discretionary spending items. They represent over $16 million of mandatory expenses not paid to our board. We do not truly have a structural deficit problem. What we have is a Ministry of Education funding problem. The budget deficits we are experiencing are far more about the lack of provincial funding than we are receiving than it is about having a structural deficit. So for myself, I cannot, as a trustee member on both SEAC and SAL committees, agree to approve this budget that will impact our students in numerous ways, while these funding gaps from the ministry continue to affect our budget substantially. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Leclerc.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, thank you to all of the individuals, Superintendent Armstrong, Sean Mayhew, and all the team for the extraordinary work that they did. To try to continue on with Trustee McKinley's comments in terms of What I would suggest is chronic, intentional underfunding to areas that we have little control over, puts us into a deficit despite our efforts not to be there. So, as an example, student transportation. Student transportation is dictated by regulation, and so we know how much it's going to cost to provide that transportation, and yet the money that we get in transfers doesn't meet that. So imagine if this board decided to say, well, we need to stop student transportation because we need to fund our schools. Imagine if we did that, the response that we would get, not only from parents, but from the province. But the harsh reality is we're not funded to provide the transportation for our students. Imagine if we said we are not going to backfill for absenteeism. Imagine that. That's $7 million. Parents wouldn't be happy, nor would the province. We are left with very little opportunity to provide for a properly funded education system when we're chronically underfunded in those two areas that I just spoke about. Maybe we stop doing remittances to the federal government for EI and CPP. I don't know that the parents would care. The federal government would care. But how do we highlight how desperate our situation is? And it's not just us. Every school board in this province is facing funding crisis. We're $1 million this year, round number. That's minuscule compared to some of other situations across the province. Unlike my colleague, despite the fact that I object quite vigorously to the lack of appropriate funding, I will support the budget out of respect for those who did the work, because they did the work with two hands tied behind their back and still produced a budget that's $1 million in the red, round numbers. So I will support it. I don't like it, but it's out of respect for the people that are doing the work here. And I think we have a duty to those people that are in this room that did the work to do the best they could in the circumstances that they're presented. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Leclerc, I would just add that we also have a legal obligation, not just a duty to our staff. Yeah, I would just like to add that. Trustee Burgess and then Trustee Armstrong.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm glad some colleagues have expressed, I think, what's in a lot of our hearts. I look at this as with great gratitude for all the work in such a short time. It's unfair that a government who understands, they know what they're going to do, despite an election, etc. If they would have won, they know what they were going to do, and to have such a short timeline to deliver something like this is unfair. So I appreciate the work in that what was considered really compressed timeline. That's very real. So I appreciate that. But I look at this as a political decision. I don't look at it as something that I embrace, as my colleagues have expressed, that this is something that I love. Earlier this evening, it was referred to as us doing the provincial government's dirty work. I don't disagree with that. I really don't. I think that we are obligated in law. We are given this. And I look around at my colleagues and I know that 42 boards are in deficit. So this is not something outlandish that we're some crazy outlier. And this is something that is systemic and intentional. And I agree. How are we supposed to say this? So I support this budget only because, much like last year, you have a choice. You have a choice to be under supervision or not be under supervision. To maintain local control, hold your nose, bark at the moon if you have to, but make sure that the people who fund this, who work here, who want services and maybe can't get them because it's underfunded or completely unfunded, that the decisions we're making are not something that we embrace wholeheartedly. And despite all the demonstrations and us being demonized and all the rest as a political decision, this stinks less than supervision. And I can say that because having spoken with the boards who have been and who are right now under supervision, the powers that the ministry have include everything. So what we're trying to maintain, what our folks in the business department and all the departments who collaboratively put this together, who make those tough decisions, always have families and students and staff at the center of it. You're never guaranteed that the supervisor who comes in is going to have that same caring heart and understanding of the accounting. Our accounting is, our widgets are people. And so I support this budget and I'm grateful for it, but I think it stinks. It really does. We're making decisions that don't support kids the way we would like to. One area, and I want to have the letter that we put together have a few different destinations. One is the federal government, and I'd like maybe the local MPs covered on it, but I really want a letter to go to the Minister of Finance, Champagne, and Prime Minister Carney, because in March, for those few days when he was first Prime Minister before the election, he spoke with Chief Cindy Woodhouse-Nepenak and said that Jordan's principle would be reinstated. He would get on that. And I have the screenshot. He's holding his eagle feather. I mean, I think we have to, I'm holding on some hope that those 25 employees that support the programs that deserve the support that should be funded correctly are going to come, I think, in the fall budget. But as we talked, we only use the data we have. You can't count it before it comes. So I think it's something just from timing that we have an economic statement and not a budget, and it's going to flow, and I hope it's retroactive. But I want to have a letter directly to the federal government, and like I said, copy to the MPPs, but they're not the first ones, to say, we need this, and let us show you. And we're not naming families. We're not doing any of that. We're saying this is the need. We have a demonstrated need. And because we don't do it, they don't get service the way they should. So I want it linked to the consequences in anything we do. And I would like if there was a possibility just on the Jordan's principle thing, for example. Also plead to the federal government, because of the nature of the staff who are facilitating this, that they pick up the tab or waive the EI and CPP. Let that money flow so that it goes into the credit for those employees. But it should be. It's like the HST part on gasoline thing. The same thing. We've done it for years and it's ridiculous. So I would like to have some creative solutions suggested to the federal government in this area. I also think that we should hear from the SEAC committee particularly. Do we have an indigenous rep still on SEAC? Is that still part of the? No, we don't. Okay, so again, as many voices as we can, even if they're singing the same song, that would be nice to have. So that's Jordan's principle. Then there's the things to the MPPs. And we can do something to the Minister of Education, obviously. But I think our local MPs as well, that they need to know that while they are, again, announcing increases, and to the general public, you might say, what are you complaining about? You got more money. We have to remember and ask each other, when was the last time you went to buy that thing that you bought 2 years ago and tried to get the same thing for the same money? We are not being recognized for the inflationary costs, even at the best kind of procurement things that we have. when we're talking about tariffs and we're talking about Made in Ontario, the Bobby things and whatever, we're committed to that. We believe in that. But if we believe in that, we have to be funded for it. It's a provincial initiative. We believe in it. But give us the money to invest in Canadian businesses and Made in Ontario goods and services. And so to quote those things so that they know that we're reinforcing and we're not trying to just complain. But we need to show our actuarial stuff. We need to, actually talk about it and stuff. And I take real good note of my colleague who mentioned about compensation. This is something that bargaining and non-bargaining have used it as an internal kind of thing. Oh, don't let it go to, cut people from the administration. I'm sorry, it's a tough job. Anybody who was in business department this last little while putting this thing together, it's good work, but it's not easy. Anybody who is in administration knows the pressures and that haven't been adequately compensated. And I would like it in the letter to say, we understand that we're in public life and we should be compensated. I'm not going to argue about the MPPs getting a raise. That's a tough job too. It's a tough job. But fund the money. Well, I'm saying for the letter, I just want to capture it. Okay. Oh, at 7? Yeah. Well, I want that captured. I want that captured somehow, that it's enough for administration. We need to attract good, qualified folks, and let's look at the sunshine list, and let's look at what what our senior team, etc., should be compensated for, and that has to be addressed. Thank you.
I'm going to recess this meeting for approximately half an hour to deal in private session with a legal matter. So I'd ask all the trustees to move into the other room, please, and we'll be back about 7:30. Thank you. Motion to move to private session. Trustee Burgess, Trustee McCauley, all those in support? Any opposed? That's carried. Thank you. I'm going to call the meeting back to order, and we're going to first do the Rise and Report from Committee of the Whole meeting. That's item H. Do we have anything to report, Trustee Buckler?
Yes, Madam Chair, I move item item G1.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder?
To property matters. Apologies.
We have a seconder, Trustee Leclerc. All those in support? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Now we're going to go back to item B1. Trustee Burgess, did you conclude your remarks on the budget? I had to call a recess, so.
Yeah, I just want to say. Yes, I think I did. And it had more to do with the letters, etc.
Thank you. Trustee Armstrong on the budget.
Through you, Madam Chair. Sorry, I forget what I was going to ask. Thank you.
I just want to point out to those who are watching, it's not like we haven't discussed the budget. We just, previous to 6 o'clock, we had a almost 2-hour meeting regarding the budget, and trustees also submitted written questions, and there were also questions at the Finance and Facility Services Committee meeting. So if it seems like there aren't any questions about the budget, that's not the case. It's just that we've already covered all that for the most part. Trustee McCauley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a comment first, and then I have a question for administration. My comment is thank you to administration for being able to put together such a comprehensive budget under such short time. The ministry's funding announcement was late, and yet we still have a budget binder in front of us, so thank you for that. And I also want to take a moment to recognize, and I'll bring this up hopefully in my ops board report as well, that we aren't, a unique case. 42 other boards across the province are reporting deficits. I'll note that there is a shrinking but ongoing gap with respect to 2018 per pupil funding. It's still short, $404. So it doesn't come down to our board's ability to budget properly. It really does come down to a lack of funding by the provincial government. So I appreciate sincerely everything that this team has done to put forward a budget that's only $1 million in the red. Comparatively, I think we're in a really good spot, and I'm really appreciative of that. My question has to do with a point for clarification from my pre-submitted questions. I asked a question about 1 new STEPS classroom and 5 new GAINS classrooms planned for 25-26, and then the addition of remediation hubs. Page 60 of the budget binder, special education programs, it notes that the remediation hubs will be located at Maxwell Public, Eastview Horizon, and Hetherington Public School. But in this response, the pilot sites are David Maxwell, William G. Davis, Prince Edward Talbot Trail, and Northwood Public. So I'm just sorry.
The second list that you mentioned is the correct list.
And then just on that note, for Northwood Public School, would the remediation, would that be in the new addition?
No, we just started to do visits to see where these sites would be, and the principal has chosen a central location in the school that meets halfway between his kindergarten classrooms and some of the older classrooms, so it can be a central location.
I do have more questions on that, but I'm going to wait until we get to the ODA recommendation. So item B2, just on the note of Northwood.
Okay. Questions on the budget? Trustee Chin?
Thank you. My English is very limited, so sometimes I don't speak aloud to how to say praise you, but I do appreciate your hard work. It's good. Yeah, what I want to mention, besides compliment, and I want our board to pay attention to 2 points. One is that our enrollment is lower than before, is decreasing. And I would like you to consider that and to find out the reason to increase. I know that we did good job, but there might be a way to increase. And for example, listen to the parents, especially the parents who move their kids out of our board, and see what's their concerns and how I can improve. And we can also compare with our board with other fellow boards and see the difference, if they decrease as us or not. If they did better than us, then it's not the problem of the provincial level. We should do something to improve. That in that way we can make our budget better. And another way is that I mentioned before, certain items, and if we can, save money, and at the meantime to improve the teaching performance, and we might do something to change. And we cannot just think that it's politically correct, then nobody would touch it or even think about it. I don't think it's wise. We should be more accountable, for the budget, and try to find a way to improve. I know my opinions may not be very accurate or very welcomed, but I would like to let you know to find out if there is a way for us to improve other than just blaming the provincial government, because there is also other boards who is good. So let us learn why they are good. Okay. I think I didn't say anything wrong. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else with questions or comments about the budget? Trustee Armstrong?
Through you, Madam Chair. I don't know if this has already been covered, but the hub is in pilot schools. First of all, my first question, how long is the pilot? And second, what do the other schools do in September who are not participating in the pilot? Thank you.
Through you, Madam Chair, it's a one-year pilot. So what we're doing is looking at ways that we can remediate some of the lists that we talked about, so waiting lists. So this is for students with complex needs. So for this school year, we're instituting five locations where there'll be a teacher, where students with that complex profile will go in. They'll attain skills so that they can be integrated back into the homeroom and use those skills. So for example, we'll have kindergarten students in groups of about 6 students that will go to the hub at a time with the support staff that's already aligned to their room. They're going to acquire some skills while they're in the hub. When they go back to their homeroom, those skills will transfer with them.
Supplementary?
Yes. So what about the schools that don't have a hub? What is it going to look like for them in September?
So the addition of the 5 gains rooms that we also added this year helped to alleviate some of those pressures in some of those schools. So we've added 5 new gains rooms in areas where there have been longer waiting lists. So in those schools, we'll see some of those students go into those fully self-contained rooms.
Thank you. Do you have a question, Trustee Chin? Sorry, Trustee Chin. Trustee Leclerc.
Through you, Madam Chair. How many boards are there in the province? 72. Thank you.
Your question, Trustee Chin?
Yeah, my question is regarding the tracks for the several schools, and I didn't follow the update, but I do want to remind you that track is not unnecessary. It's very important for the schools. So do your best to keep it and not discarding that. And if you don't have money, or try to find other way to do that rather than scrape that. And I don't agree with that point that physical education is not necessary for the board. I really cannot accept it. I came from different country, different culture, not so wealthy, but they do think this is very important exercise for the kids. So please keep that by all means. I will keep asking that. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Are there any other questions? Are there any other questions? No? Okay. Then I'll just remind trustees before we vote that we have a statutory obligation to submit a budget. And I know that we struggle with this every year. That's not new. But once we take the vote on the budget, then I'll ask you for consensus on the letters that we'd like to send, okay? So, a motion to approve, I'm not going to read the motions again, but the operating and the capital budget as presented by the Finance and Facility Services Committee. All those in support? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's carried. Thank you. I don't need to. Well, we can take opposed, but according to Robert's rules, I don't have to once it's been carried. Opposed, we have 2. Thank you. The second item is the board approved the 2025-26 plan in accordance with the Ontarians with Disabilities Act for the year September 2025 to August 2026. This is a report that we submit every year. Are there questions on the report? Oh, no, I need someone to move it. Trustee McCauley, Trustee Buckler, do we have any questions on the report? Trustee McCauley?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have a couple of questions. I was hoping to ask this during Finance and Facility Services, but we were tight for time. So through you, Madam Chair, with respect to, updating building construction standards is listed as necessary, is listed as a barrier, which helps older buildings with accessibility upgrades. When the request isn't feasible, I recognize our current plans to accommodate students at the closest site that is accessible. So I know within my family of schools, Walkerville Collegiate Institute lacks an elevator, like other buildings within the system. So my first question is, how many students, if any, are accommodated at the closest site due to the inaccessibility caused by no elevator at Walkerville?
Through you, Madam Chair, I reached out to the educational coordinator for the school, and I'm going to go back probably 3 to 5 years. She hasn't had any accommodations for that building. Typically, that's what we do. We look to the nearest, closest school where we can accommodate those students, but at this point, we haven't had any.
Thank you for that. That's good to hear. My next, is that okay if I ask another question? 2 questions. 2 at a time or 2 period? Okay.
You can always submit questions at another time, but I'll give you 2 for the meeting.
I'll ask one about Northwood. So at Northwood, the 3 games rooms are located centrally in the school across the hall from a small accessible washroom. And I think you noted that's where the principal identified where we'll be putting the remediation hub for the school. So are there any plans in the future to renovate that, either the games rooms or the bathrooms, or put them in the new addition, or does that already meet the criteria of barrier-free washrooms and in line with our accessibility obligations?
Again, through you, Madam Chair, for the hub question of that, it's down the hallway from where those existing Gaines classrooms are. So it's right at the end of the hall where that classroom would be located, and there's bathrooms very close by for the students that would be using the hub. I don't know the answer to the renovations to the current bathroom.
Lieutenant Armstrong, do you have something on that? Maybe that question could be submitted by email, and they can look up the answer. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions on the annual report? Trustee Burgess?
Thanks, Madam Chair. On AODA, and we do it all the time, but my question would be about staffing. I've heard that staffing often, if someone has an identified mobility disability, for example, or anything else, staffing also has to be accommodating, just like general public, just like where we have meetings, etc. But AODA standards, do we sometimes staff folks who need a fully accessible workspace to a school because of that accommodation?
Director?
I'll start through you, Madam Chair, and then either Superintendent Bryan or Superintendent Dubin, if they want to add on, since they're responsible for staffing. I want to be very cautious. Staffing is a separate process under the collective agreements. That is first and foremost the responsibility. If there's requirements for workplace accommodations, those come after.
All right. Okay, I'm going to ask for the vote on the annual plan. All those in support? That's carried. Thank you. And I already forgot. I want to make notes. Someone could make notes on our consensus letter with regard to the budget, the points that we'd like to include. So we would like one letter to go to the provincial level, to the Minister of Education, copy to the MPPs. And I just want to be clear on the points that you want included in that letter. Last year's letter was several pages long. I think that was last year's. We hit everything. I guess none of that's changed. Trustee Burgess?
There have been some things that changed. We had a provincial election and new minister, et
So I
cetera,
meant
but-
the items in the letter.
Yeah, there's things in the items like new tariffs and new costs associated that are brand new to this year and that create an additional burden to the BOBI things that we are also committed to. I think we raised that. We've also had a provincial government that gave themselves a well-deserved raise according to inflationary costs, et cetera, for public service, and executive compensation is not reflected in the same way. I think we can make that parallel this year because that's brand new, their raise. the underfunding that we need, I think we always express gratitude for when we have a raise in funding, but the concerns that we have, are still very real. Our special education, our needs to accommodate for our students who have identified special education needs has grown. It doesn't diminish. So if we have a growth in need, then that has to be compensated by a growth in special education funding. And I know we've said it again and again, but this year it's grown since last year. Even though our enrollment might be down, the needs have grown. I think that's important to say. The EI thing, CPP, that flows through provincial government. That's a federal level, but to mention it there, I still think that's legit.
Yeah, I just was asking about the things over and above what we. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, no, that's okay. That's okay. I just want to make sure someone has that noted, and that the federal letter would be about the statutory benefits.
And Jordan's principle.
Oh, and Jordan's principle.
Big time Jordan's
we've
principle.
Got that. We've got that.
And that my request would also be if there was any extra advocacy from IAC or SEAC on that issue. That would bolster from the whole board, since they are joint committees led by that community.
Okay, we've got that. Yep. Okay, Trustee Chin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with those letters to ask, and I agree that we are underfunded. But my concern is that we have a new Minister of Education, and I'm thinking if we would actually attract them to invest us, because I'm not sure if we are 100% sure that we didn't waste any money. And for example, they didn't fund DEI, and we did put a lot of money on that. And if we invite them to check how we, utilize the fundings, are we 100% sure that we are all good? So my concern is that the Ministry of Education already examined several board and controlled them. I don't want them to come to our board to investigate. And I don't think it's good for us. Thank you.
So, your point, Trustee Burgess?
My understanding with a multi-year recovery, help me with the acronym.
Multi-year.
Okay. Is we are under additional scrutiny, much more than we would if we didn't have that recovery plan. So we already have additional financial scrutiny, that we are meeting all of that, and we are well on our way, and that we hope to be in a balanced position. And we have met. We've just passed the budget, so I think that's enough scrutiny. We've already got it.
I would also add that we've probably been sending a letter for about 30 years. So, do I have consensus, or do we want to do this by motion? We're going to send a letter with the concerns as outlined. Okay, thank you. We're moving to C, the Learning Equity and Wellbeing Committee. You have a report in your package, pages 188 to 190. Are there any questions on that report? I'm not seeing any. Statutory Committee. SEAC has a report, Special Education Advisory Committee, pages 191 to 193. I don't see anything there. Any questions? GECPIC also has a report, pages 194 to 195. Are there any questions on that? Our Parent Involvement Committee. Trustee Burgess?
I noticed that there are more meetings than I'd like to see without quorum, and that's disturbing considering we have so many parents and members of the pick our appointed and with only very few meetings. I don't know. I can't think that those were the 3 days here that I'm looking at. There were, big blizzards or something. I mean, that's a concern. So either we do a hybrid model that's more accommodating, or we make something has to change. So my remark would be there's an opportunity there for a really strong parent voice, and we're not getting it as far as action items because quorum's not being met.
Thank you. That was an observation. Yes.
It's an observation.
Yes.
I have nothing to add except that
Right.
it's a lost opportunity for us to have parent voice with
Noted.
action items and advice.
Trustee McKinley?
Yes, thank you. As the chair that sits on GECPEC, I have actually spoken to the director about having a conversation about that very quorum problem. It very much concerned me as well, so it has been noted. Thank you.
Okay. We're going down to P now, an OPSPA report. Trustee
Thank you.
McCowie?
Thank you, and through you, Madam Chair. So as most of you know, the Ontario Public School Boards Association held their annual meeting this past weekend. The annual meeting included elections for the first vice president, following a resignation, along with the regional elections for chair, vice chair, policy development, and education program working groups. I'm pleased to announce OPSPA's new first vice president vacancy was filled by Trustee Jan Johnstone of the Blue Water District School Board. There were 4 policy resolutions submitted by member boards, including one from Greater Essex. Near North District School Board requested that OPSPA advocate to the Ministry of Education to conduct a consolidation study of the 4 school board model system. The resolution was referred to the policy working group. Upper Grand District School Board submitted 2 resolutions, one to advocate that new school builds are low carbon or emissions free. That one passed. The other one being to advocate on behalf of boards to be made financially whole for additional cost incurred due to tariffs. That one also passed. And then Greater Essex submitted a resolution to advocate to the Ministry of Education to amend the Education Act in Ontario Reg 521 /01 to mandate vulnerable sector checks for school board trustees. That resolution was referred to policy. With respect to our board of directors meeting, there was a lot of valuable discussions. I almost wish I gave this report before we talked about the budget. So OPSPA's president did have a meeting with the Minister of Education, Paul Calandra. They noted it was productive. The minister did note that he's aware of funding gaps in special education and did express an intent to address this. Jordan's principal funding changes and its impacts, particularly as it related to hiring EAs in some boards. Local budget developments is being tracked by OPSPA. So last year, 31 boards of 72 reported deficits. This year, 42 boards are reporting deficits. OPSPA noted the shrinking but ongoing gap with respect to 2018 per pupil funding, which is still $404 short, though it's better than what we saw last year at $776. The most notable gap appears in special education, where funding still falls short, nearly $583 million across the province. On that note, due to the relatively late funding announcement, boards can technically request an extension to submit their budgets up until July 31st, but thankfully we submitted ours today, so there's always that. With respect to Bill 33, supporting children in student acts, there was a lot of discussion about that. OPSPA does intend to meet with the Minister of Education to get a clearer picture of what the actual intent behind the legislation is. Concerning the proposed, there was concerns with the proposed return of the SRO program. Member boards were looking for clarity as to what that would look like and what their actual role is in that program. OPSPA noted that there will be a discussion at next week's meeting. There's a joint working group meeting on June 24th. If anybody has any feedback on that, please let me know. I will carry that with me. School renaming and naming, particularly if the change would be retroactive, was discussed. It's still a little unclear on that. Trustee expenditures and school board supervision was discussed. Bill 33 is open for feedback until the 30th of June. OPSPA does intend to submit on behalf of member boards. They'll do that twice, once now and then once again in the fall before the House sits in October. There was also discussion on the trustee attendance policy and what school boards are doing to address this in their governance structures. It appears for the most part that all boards are simply looking for ways to make it work. Both OPSPA and the Canadian School Boards Association released their annual reports, which can be found online. And the one thing I quickly want to highlight from OPSPA's annual report in the realm of education funding was that OPSPA continues to advocate for funding to address the growing inflationary gap between government funding and rising costs for school boards. the operational and financial pressures created by inadequately funded short-term sick leave, and the employer portion of the federal increases to CPP and EI contributions. The next scheduled OPSPA meeting will be tomorrow, June 18th, to confirm some procedural and administrative matters and host an orientation session. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Do we have any questions on the OPSPA report? Trustee Burgess?
Since I was the director who attended, I'd like to also add there is some, I'll just be forwarding the summary that admin put together, staff at OPSPA put together. But I did want to say, too, that some trustees were really looking forward to the Canadian School Board Association meeting because they had a great program, and Winnipeg, in Manitoba, was the host. And they've canceled it because every hotel room, et cetera, is being made free for the victims and survivors of the wildfires. And so that's been postponed. It's going to be a virtual meeting. And we'll be hearing from that. But I did want to say that all the caucuses also that OPSPA put together are ongoing, and they also had their elections. But I want to end on that our first Vice President, Jan Johnstone, if you haven't met her and you don't know her, a dedicated, passionate, fabulous person, graduate of John Campbell School and Kennedy Collegiate. So she knows our area, and she's always been a Great Western Region member and advocate for us, but now she's at the exec, and so Greater Essex isn't off the map as far as being in the hearts and minds of the exec.
Thank you very much. Any questions? No. Thank you for the reports, and no motions. No. Are there any announcements for this meeting? Announcements? Seeing none? No? Okay, then we've reached the end of our approved agenda, so I will remind the trustees that we have another meeting June 30th. And otherwise, I wish everybody a happy summer. Stay safe. Thank you. Good night. Thank you for your time.